Colorado got ducked up last week, but we learned one thing. Teams don't care about beating Colorado. They care about beating Deion Sanders.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? This is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borber. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our lovely sponsors, LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Like I said, this is Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. It's your team every single day. Today, we're talking about why teams don't really care about beating Colorado. They care about beating Deion Sanders. We're going to talk about a few of my takeaways from the game, from the game Saturday, where obviously Colorado got thrashed by Oregon. And then we're going to look ahead to USC. I think there's some positives to be taken away from both Colorado's games and USC's game on Saturday against Arizona State. But let's dive into the beat Deion, not Colorado. Beat Coach Prime, not Colorado theory. Because when you think of Colorado, obviously they were ranked. They are now out of the top 25. They lose to Oregon 42-6. It was a horrible showing by just about everybody on the Colorado team. Their offense couldn't get anything going. Their defense couldn't stop anything. I think there was a lot of factors for these, and we'll get to those in my takeaways. But this was my most important takeaway, and we kind of saw this. It was around halftime, I think it was, when they aired the Dan Lanning. We're playing for wins. They're playing for clicks stuff or whatever. I'm going to play that video again, just in case you guys didn't see it. Don't know how you wouldn't have seen it, but it kind of has taken the world by storm, and it's kind of shaped my opinion on, I would say, Dan Lanning and the rest of college football for the most part. So here we go.
Rooted in substance. Not flash, rooted in substance. Today, we talk with our pads. You talk with your helmet, right? Every moment. The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference, right? There's a difference, right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood. It's going to be played on the grass, right? It's going to be played on the grass. And let's go.
So, not sure what his post-game or his pre-game speech would have been had there not been an ESPN camera in there. But that definitely felt like a fighting for clicks moment from Dan Lanning. But either way, I've taken from all the comments I've gotten and all the people that I've seen going after Colorado, and even Coach Prime himself said this, people care more about beating him than they care about beating the team. People were upset that I honestly thought Colorado's offense was going to be useful. I didn't think they would go out there and give a dud of a performance. I thought this game had a chance to be shootout-esque with Colorado having a chance to win. Obviously, I was wrong about that because Oregon is a clearly better team right now. And Colorado didn't really have any business being, I wouldn't say they didn't have any business being out there, but there's levels to this, and Colorado's not at that level yet. Coach Prime admitted they're not at that level yet. Oregon's a top 10 team. I think they probably moved up in the AP poll ranking, and rightfully so, because realistically, it was a top 25 win. They moved up one spot to number 9. So the Pac-12 has 3 teams, 7, 8, 9. Well, good for them, I guess. Either way, sorry, got distracted there. The Pac-12 and all of the other teams like Oregon are looking to beat Colorado because, one, it kind of, in their eyes, silences Coach Prime. I think in their eyes, if they beat Deion Sanders in Colorado, it will help them recruit because they'll be like, you don't want to go there. We beat them. You don't want to go there. They're not a serious team. And that's kind of the vibe that everybody's putting out. And even after Oregon wins the game, I think there was more celebration from fans, from Oregon, from analysts who were kind of predicting Colorado to lose and calling for this Colorado loss for a long time coming. If you'll say whatever, the fairy tale's over, whatever you want to say. I think people were more excited that Deion Sanders lost than Oregon won. And that's okay. I mean, if that's how you kind of operate, then go for it. but realistically, it kind of shows that you care more about Deion Sanders, the person, being silenced rather than his team being beat. And I can't think that says more about you as a person than it does like your fandom as a college football person, as a college football fan. I think people were more excited to see someone who's taken college football by storm, gotten a lot of attention, gotten a lot of recruits' attention, has kind of surfaced as the face of college football. People were excited to see that knockdown. We could all speculate as to why people want to see that knockdown, but to each their own. I think there's a lot of truth being told by some people out there. So it was a little disappointing to see how people reacted. Obviously, a lot of people. I expected people to come for me in my prediction, but the amount of people that came for individuals like Coach Prime, Shadur Sanders, it felt more personal when they were saying it wasn't personal. It's a whole thing. Either way, my biggest takeaway is that teams don't want to beat Colorado. I don't think they care. Coach Prime could be coaching at Modesto Junior College, which is a place in California, or Laney Junior College, or Chino Hills, whatever high school. People just want to beat him. It's not about who's on the field, and I think we saw that. I think Dan Lanning kind of, which credit to him and his team, his staff, his team. They put together a great game plan. They beat the living out of Colorado. But I think there's way too much excitement about beating the person, not about the team. And that's okay. Coach Prime kind of responded to Dan Lanning's speech, and he said, "You better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be," alluding to the fact that obviously he saw it, and he said he keeps receipts. So I wanted you guys to see that speech as well, because I figured that was something that we should all kind of hold on to as we move forward.
Stuff just to say it for a click, contrary to what somebody say. But yeah, I keep receipts. But I'm serious. I analyze and I understand what we're up against and what we have and what we need. One thing that I could say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now. Now, I got messengers. God bless him, though, man. He's a great coach. He did a great job. God bless him. He take their shots. They won. I don't shoot. I don't do that. They won.
So yeah, I think that's the perfect stance right there. Because Coach Prime, I'm saying, doesn't really need to take shots at people. He knows that'll only make his situation more complicated, because everybody's going to want to kind of be like, "Oh, Coach Prime said this, Coach Prime said that." But what Dan Lanning said, and I think the funny thing about Coach Prime's response is, say right now while you can. He said something like this during the offseason, where it was, take your shots now, before you don't have a chance to. And I think this is the same message to Dan Lanning. It's the same message to the rest of college football. Take your shots at Colorado right now, because we obviously could tell that this program is going to be headed in the right direction, regardless of what happened Saturday. And what happened Saturday was a bludgeoning, as some might say. But either way, Colorado bounced back. They still have a chance to have a great season. And they have a chance to build off of it and learn from it. This episode of Locked on Buffs, which you will learn right now, is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire could feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the people for your team faster and for free. I personally, like I always say, got my first job, Pac-12 Networks. I was a young college student, and I just needed a job, was looking for opportunities. The pandemic was there, and I found the perfect job for me, reached out, was able to connect, was able to figure out why I was a fit, talk to the hiring manager, worked out perfectly, and now here I am today. So if you want to find the perfect candidate, add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you could quickly prioritize who you'd like to hire and interview. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one, delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, they apply. Okay, we are back, and we're talking about my takeaways from the game. I did a live reaction to this, and I think I may have had sorry, trying to not say it's a bad habit. We had a lot to take away from that game, even though it was a blowout. Not many positives, and let's just dive right in. Up first, and I've been saying this all season, the offensive line is going to determine the fate of this team. Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter was obvious. For first observation, we'll go ahead of the offensive line. Travis Hunter is a huge loss. Not sure how big of a difference he would have made, being that Oregon was consistently slicing and dicing the entire defense. And I don't know how big of a difference one person can make, but I do think there's instances where they had a guy like Travis J playing man coverage on what's his name? Troy Franklin, the Oregon receiver, and it didn't go well. I think if Travis Hunter's on him, maybe it does go a little bit better. But I don't know if it's Travis Hunter's spot in Colorado, 38 points or whatever it is. They needed to win 30. What is that? 42 minus 6. I'm not good at math. I never said I was good at math. Oh, 36. I was close. So I don't think Travis Hunter is getting them 36 points back, but I do think he's making the game a little bit closer. But what is hurting Colorado and will continue to hurt them is the offensive line. Shadur Sanders was sacked 7 times, was hit. Let's see. Do they have that? No. He was hit around 15 times, I believe. It was just a horrible showing by that offensive line. Here we go. Shadur Sanders stats. Shadur Sanders has currently been sacked 22 times this season, which is one less than the 23 times he was sacked last year for Jackson State. So if you do the math and we do 22 divided by 4, because we're in math, this is a math podcast, it's 5.5 sacks per game. If you multiply that by 12, he's on pace to be sacked 66 times, which would be more than nearly double his first season at Jackson State, where he was sacked 35 times. Just not great. This offensive line is just, when you watch these Colorado games, so far there hasn't been a team. Nebraska was the one team where it was like we could really see that if you could get to Shadur consistently, you can make this offense struggle. And they were getting to Shadur consistently. Oregon was. And I have to give credit to Oregon's defense. They were a lot better than I thought they were. I won't say than I thought they could be, but there wasn't much I could take away from their games against Portland State and Hawaii. So there was kind of I don't want to say surprise there, but it was like, oh, wow, they are a really good defense. They get to the quarterback. Their secondary was good. They were playing tight coverage all game. So credit to Oregon, credit to Dan Lanning. Obviously, he was kind of the catalyst of the Georgia success on defense. And now he's taking that success to Eugene, it was Oregon's biggest weakness last year was their defense, I would say. It wasn't what they needed it to be. And now they are a good defense. So this Colorado offense line, I don't know what changes you make to this. I'm not sure if they have guys ready and waiting. Like, obviously, there's other offensive linemen, but if this is consistently the best 5 that they put out, and there's they're like, this is our best 5, I don't know what you do to figure this out. Because Sean Lewis's offense, it works when obviously Shadur Sanders is not under pressure. They haven't established a run at all this season, and that's another takeaway I had. We were told Alton McCaskill is ready. He's fully cleared to go, and Alton McCaskill got in at garbage time and got like 5 carries. I don't understand the usage of the running backs. I don't understand the manner in which they've been using Dylan Edwards. I think Dylan Edwards is a talented kid, super fast. I think he's best utilized when he's running outside the tackles and not used as a pass protector. I don't understand the concept of using a 5'9" receiver or 5'9" running back, who is just not able to block. Like, it's nothing against him. It's just he's not able to get in front of a big defensive lineman or linebacker and hold up. If you look at the pass blocking grades, him and Anthony Hakerson, the other running back, Dylan Edwards had an 18.3 pass blocking rating according to PFF. Hankerson had a 13. They had 8 total plays where they blocked according to PFF. And it just was not great. Like, there's literally multiple videos of Dylan Edwards, and it's not his fault he's trying his best. I just don't think the offense is putting him in a good situation or Shadur to have him trying to block a edge rusher, or whether it be a linebacker, whoever it may be. I just don't think that's a smart move. And then you look at Alton McCaskill, who blocked one play, did his job, had a 67.5 rating. Obviously, he had less of an opportunity to block, but Alton McCaskill is a bigger back. I thought he should have been in the game plan more. Don't know why he was held out till the very end. If you want to start Dylan Edwards, that's fine, but at least get Alton McCaskill rotating in. We've seen what he could do at Houston, and it was like, okay, he's healthy, so maybe they're going to use him. That was like one of my keys to the game was the Alton McCaskill effect. People were saying I said that Colorado could run over Oregon. I didn't think they would be running all over him, but I thought Alton McCaskill would come in and make a difference. But I didn't think he'd play garbage time. I didn't think that was on the menu for him. I thought Colorado was going to finally take advantage of people coming back, and they didn't. And you could say, oh, well, he was injured and they didn't want to rush him back. Travis Jay was playing, for example, because he's the one that stands out to me because he was the one I noticed the most. He played a majority of the game, if not all of the game. Let's see coverage. Let's see who started. Yeah, so Travis Jay, while he didn't start, was playing a lot of snaps. He had 14 coverage snaps, which is outside of all of that's the most in the secondary outside of Shiloh and Amarian Cooper and Trevor Woods and Cameron Sloan Craig. So all those guys started too. So he was kind of like the defensive back that saw the most time off the bench, and he played a fair amount. Why did Alton McCaskill you don't have to give him 55 carries in the game, but use him? I think that was a missed opportunity by the offense. And then I think I've seen a lot of people, and this is a credit to Sean Lewis. His offense is really good when it's working, and it looks really bad when it's not. It's really fast. And so all of a sudden Colorado gets the ball, 3 plays are off the field. And it goes by so quick because they run such a high tempo offense. But people saying that he needs to be fired, everyone needs to calm down. That Oregon defense is really good. The Colorado offense was clearly overmatched. And it's going to be a tough matchup again this week going against USC. I think USC's defense is worse. They're pretty bad, actually. So Colorado should have a chance to perform better. But everyone take the pressure off Sean Lewis. It's his first bad showing, as the Colorado offensive coordinator. So yeah, those were a couple of my observations. Offensive line. I don't know what the solution is because these are clearly the best 5 guys they got, and they're just not performing. I don't know if they're going to need to bring in a tight end more. Michael Harrison, just have him there, try to help block all the time. Or if they're going to have to use running backs like use Sivion Wilkerson, for example, the Jackson State transfer. He's a fairly decent size. Like, why is he not in the game blocking more? I don't know. Obviously, that's not what running backs are for, but maybe go with 2 running backs or a 21 personnel, get 2 tight ends out there and help block. Because you can realistically not expect this offensive line to keep giving up 5.5 sacks per game, and things are going to be okay. That's just not going to work out. So offensive line needs to improve. Travis Hunter, greatly missed. He, like I said, he's not going to give them 36 points, but he locks down. He covers a receiver, whatever receiver may be. He doesn't give up a lot. So I think we need to kind of look at how good Travis Hunter was. So example, I'm looking at the coverage stats for all of the receivers. So at first it's Troy Franklin. He went against Amarian Cooper 4 times, had 3 catches. Amarian Cooper was targeted the most. He gave up 9 catches for 82 yards. Outside of that, the other person who gave up the most was Trevor Woods, 5 catches for 57 yards. So it's tough. Like you put Travis Hunter in, for example, and Travis Hunter is taking these snaps that Amarian Cooper has, and then Amarian Cooper is the one taking the ones that Jacquez Robinson, which Jacquez Robinson looked pretty good. He had an interception, and it's hard to play the what if game. But maybe if Amarian Cooper is not getting targeted that much, maybe he does perform a little bit better. Maybe he wasn't ready for that bulk, but Travis Hunter would be. And it's hard to play the what if game, but obviously, and we'll never know what the defense would have looked like with Travis Hunter, but he was greatly missed. Offensively, Travis Hunter makes a few plays. It is what it is. And I think Alton McCaskill should have been used more. The defense, again, the rush defense is not where it needs to be. Oregon hadn't really. I'm not trying to say Oregon doesn't have a good rushing attack, but they hadn't rushed that well this season. They just hadn't. They weren't that effective against the other teams, but against Colorado, they rushed for 240 yards for 6.3 yards per carry. That's not going to get it done on the Colorado defense. The offensive line for Colorado hurt. The defensive line for Colorado got hurt, and it's just not where they need it to be. And then lastly, my takeaway is Oregon's a damn good football team. I think that needs to be said. I got a lot of Oregon fans coming for me, and that's not why I'm saying it, but Oregon's a really good football team. They likely will be in the mix for the Pac-12 title, and maybe the playoff. They're a good football team. Colorado's not there yet, and this loss for Colorado cannot deter the season. There's a lot of games left to be played. It is what it is. You lose a game to a top 10 ranked team where you're 21-point underdogs. It happens. Just not how you wanted it to go, and it's really tough. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by Athletic Brewing. Let me tell you a little bit about my sponsor over at Athletic Brewing. Now it's my time for the game changer of the week. I think the game changer of the week was the Oregon offense. Much like the Oregon offense, Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. I chose the Oregon offense because they absolutely obliterated that Colorado defense. Kind of took the momentum away from anything Colorado could have got going. Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good, that are full of flavor and well-crafted, just like a full-strength brew. They brew over 50 styles of craft non-alcoholic beers, including IPAs, Goldens, Sours, and more. They're constantly releasing limited edition experimental styles to add to their variety. They're fit for all times, so you can drink them anytime, anywhere, and make any activity more enjoyable. You could be watching a big game, your kid's game, those 9 a.m. soccer games or t-ball games. Bust one out. It's non-alcoholic. There's no hangovers, which is the best part. You can find Athletic in-store, online, and bars around the country. So you can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout, LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. It's near the beer aisle. Exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, like they say, it's fit for all times. Okay, to round out the show, we're looking ahead. I said this on Saturday, take the one day, whether it's Sunday, Monday, take the day, sulk about the loss, move on from the loss. Looking back at this 36-point loss is not going to do anything for Colorado outside of teach them anything. This game should not determine the season. They still have 8 games to play. They still have bowl aspirations. Heck, they could still make the Pac-12 title game if everything goes right. Am I saying that's going to happen? I don't know. Probably not. If they perform like that against the top teams, that's definitely not going to happen. If they perform like they had been in the weeks prior, maybe it'll happen. But we have the rest of the season to figure things out. They played 4 games. We're looking ahead to USC right now. USC is 21.5 point favorites. Makes sense. USC is the number 8 team in the country. They have a great offense. And I think this is where all of the issues lie for Colorado. USC's offense is way better than Oregon's. I wouldn't say way better, but it's probably better than Oregon's. And they are going to absolutely look at what Oregon did to this Colorado offense or defense, and they are going to replicate that, and they are going to repeat. Let me pull up where these teams rank. So Oregon ranks number 2 in total offense with 570 yards per game. They have 27 offensive touchdowns. They average 8 yards per play. USC, on the other hand, who has less plays of offense, but nearly as many yards. They have 2,277 yards. They average 9.2 yards per play. They have 27 touchdowns, and they average 569.2 yards per game. So outside of the yards per game, USC's offense ranks better. Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the country, and he's going to make life hell for this Colorado secondary. It is what it is. Like, he's made life hell for everybody. I would say he had his worst game of the season this past week against Arizona State, and he still went 20 of 31, completed 64% of his passes for 3 touchdowns, which bumped down, which was his worst performance, which is crazy to say. He went 72% completion, 75% completion, 90% completion against Stanford. He has yet to throw an interception. He's 15 touchdowns, no picks. He's only been sacked 5 times. He's really hard to bring down. And he has 3 rushing touchdowns. He can move with his legs. This USC defense or USC offense is going to be tough. But this is where Colorado has a chance. And I'm not saying they're going to win, because I think this was one of the losses I had for them early in the season. I projected that this would be a loss for them. This USC defense is one of the worst in the country, I believe. Let me pull up my trusty metric here. They rank, sorry, my website here was being a little slow. USC's defense is very middle of the pack. They're tied for 70th, basically. They give up 5.3 yards per carry, or 5.3 yards per play, over 360 yards of offense per game. Like teams like Minnesota, North Carolina, UConn, who's 0-5, rank above them. So this defense has room for improvement. And this is where Colorado gets to kind of look ahead and kind of be excited about something, because Oregon's defense ranks number 11 in the country. And I would say that is very much a top 15 defense. USC's defense, not a top 15 defense. I think Colorado's offense should have a huge bounce back game. Establish the run. USC struggles against the run. Throw out Alton McCaskill. Throw out Dylan Edwards. I'm not saying, by the way, earlier when I said Dylan Edwards shouldn't be out there as much, I don't think he should be out there pass blocking. Does that make it obvious when it's a pass blocking down? Sure. But do you want it to be obvious, or do you want your quarterback to be protected? That's all I'm saying there. But get Alton McCaskill going. Get Dylan Edwards going. Get the Shadur confidence back. Shadur looked a little bit rattled in that game. And I would be rattled too if I was getting sacked 7 times. My receivers were never open, and it just wasn't my day. I think that's probably the worst game of Shadur's collegiate career, or at least it's up there, just because statistically it looked not great. And then I just think the surroundings around him weren't setting him up for success. So it is what it is. But USC's 21.5 point favorites, like I said. ESPN gives them an 89.7% chance to win. But they give up on defense 228 yards passing per game. They give up 136 yards rushing per game. And they are going to, this is a huge test for Colorado, because Colorado could realistically push them if they want to. This is a time to establish a run. Colorado's only averaging 55 yards per carry, or 55 yards per game. 55 yards per carry would be great. 55 yards per game on the ground, 353 yards passing. And we saw it's not sustainable. Obviously, if the offense can't get the passing game going and the run game's never going, things get rough. So I think I could fairly say that Colorado is the best offense that USC has faced all year, and they should be able to perform. Just this last week, USC was down to Arizona State. Were they down? No, they weren't down. But they were. It was close. It was a single digits game at the end of the third quarter. It was 27-21 by the time the third quarter ended. And then USC poured it on in the fourth, went up 35-21. Then Arizona State closed the gap again, 35-28. They did so with a rushing attack and a running back in Cameron Scadaboo, who just kind of does it all. He had 20 carries for 111 yards, and then he also had 4 catches for 79 yards. So Colorado needs to rely on someone. They need someone to step up, one of the running backs. I don't know who it's going to be, but they need someone to. I'm not going to say that I think Colorado's going to win this USC game. I feel like I need to see how they perform against a top-ranked team. But they should fight. This should be a much better game, and I think they have a chance. I thought they had a chance against Oregon, but Oregon clearly has one of the best defenses in the country, and that's not a team that Colorado matches up well against. But USC, very similar team to Colorado. Top offense, not so good defense. So we'll just have to wait and see. We're going to talk more about the USC game as the week goes on. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm Kevin Borba. This has been another episode of Locked on Buffs. Have a great day and a great start to your week.